Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do my final all the pans I hit and eyeshadows finished for 2024. We are of course a couple days into 2025, which means that we have wrapped up the quarter 4 of 2024. So I have made a list of all of the pans that I hit and all of the eyeshadows that I finished in the last 3 months of 2024, and I'm going to go through them with you today. I'm also going to go through some stats, kind of like what the average is to finish or hit pan on an eyeshadow, both for the quarter but also for the whole of 2024, to give a better idea of how long it actually takes to finish a shade. So I'm going to jump into the video, but before I do that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. Alright, so before, leading up to quarter 4, I had hit 36 pans in the first 3 quarters of the year. So that's kind of what I was standing at the beginning of October, so quarter 4. And I have my most disappointing quarter probably ever when it comes to panning eyeshadows since I started panning eyeshadows, because I only hit 1 pan in quarter 4, which is crazy. I can't remember when I last only hit 1 pan in 3 months. Like normally, sorry, my hair is a mess. Normally I hit, at least 5 to 10 to plus that. There was 1 year I hit 100 pans in a year, so hitting 1 in 3 months is very, very low. But I know exactly why, and that is because I was so focused on finishing up eyeshadows in the past quarter. I was very behind on my goal for finishing, so that's kind of why I focused on shadows that I wanted to, that I already had pan on and I wanted to finish, rather than eyeshadows to hit pan on. So that is why, and there's only 1 pan, like I said, and that comes from this palette right here, which was my Product Level Up Level 1 palette. So the pan that I hit in that project was the shade Pearl. So there's this kind of in the corner shade right there. That is pan number 37 for the year, and also my last pan for the year. I hit that quite early in quarter 4. After that, I started working on my level 2 palette in this specific project, which was the Midnight Sun palette from Photograph, and I did work on that one for a month and a half, I think, but I didn't hit any pans. I used the 2 focus shades quite a few times, but again, no pans. So that is the only pan that I hit in the quarter, and this one took me 17 uses, which of course also means that the average amount of uses to hit pan in quarter 4 was 17, because we only have the 1. But looking at my total average for the year, up until end of quarter 3, like I said, I had hit 36 pans at that point, and the average at that point was 12.72 uses per shadow to hit pan. But obviously, because this is 17 now, it's bringing up the number a tiny bit. So the new average for the year to hit pan on an eyeshadow for me was 12.84 uses. And again, that is only tracked uses. I haven't tracked all of my eyeshadows since brand new. Like this one, for example, I counted 17 uses, but that is just tracked in this project. I know for a fact that I've used that shade more before. I've used it probably at least 5 times. So obviously the numbers are higher, but I'm just using the tracked usage, because if I look at a shadow in my collection, it might have a bit dip in it, might not have a dip in it. So that is kind of an average looking where my collection stands. I have started tracking usage in 2024, and I'm going to continue doing that probably moving forward too, just because I think it's a really insightful way to keep track of your eyeshadows. So moving forward with all my new palettes that I have, it's probably going to be easier for me to give an accurate number. I'm probably going to be able to give more of an insightful number, just because then I will be able to track it right from a brand new palette to pan or finished. So that is all of the pans. Again, only the 1. Let's move on to eyeshadows finished, which is actually way more exciting this time. Usually it's the other way around, but the eyeshadows finished are way more than the pans. Okay, so for eyeshadows finished, at end of quarter 3, I had 4 eyeshadows finished in my collection for the year. So that is kind of what was standing in moving into October. And in the past quarter, I have finished quite a few shades, so let's talk through them. The first shade that I finished was this one right here. This is from Colourpop, and it's one of their Super Shock shadows in the shade Amaze, which is a beautiful kind of goldy rose gold type of shade. It was a bit more kind of champagne-y leaning rather than pink rose gold, but I would still classify it as a rose gold. So that is the first shade that I finished in the quarter. Eyeshadow number 5 for the year, and this one took me 79 tracked usage to finish up. But I already had pan on it prior to counting those uses. I had pan on all my Super Shock shadows, and I started tracking this one at the beginning of 2020, actually 2023. I think I started planning this one 2023. So the uses, I believe, are for both of the years combined, if I remember correctly. Otherwise, it might just be from 2024. But either way, 79 uses is what I have tracked on this one. And that is the first eyeshadow done. We have quite a few eyeshadows from this palette right here, which is my Soft Glam palette. This was my Panda palette for 2024. And if you haven't seen my Panda palette introduction, no spoiler, but this is also my Panda palette for 2025 in combination with a singles palette too. But in here, since it was my Panda palette, I have quite a few empties, especially in Q4. So for the second eyeshadow finished in Q4 and the sixth one in the year, we had the shade Glistening right there. I did use this one on my eyes, but I also used this one franken into a highlighter. And this one took me 110 tracked usage to finish. So that is eyeshadow number 6 finished in the year. Eyeshadow number 7 from the list, third one for this quarter, is also from this palette. I have again a few more coming up from this palette, but that is the shade Burnt Orange right here. It was a beautiful transition shade. I really loved it. It was so nice to work on. Yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to miss, but I probably have that duped in my collection over and over again because it was quite a standard warm tone transition shade, but like not too warm toned. But yeah, that one I finished up as well, and that one took me 103 uses to finish up. Alright, we are sticking with this palette for one more shade, for now at least, and that was the shade Bronze right here. Yeah, that one right there. That one was like a yellow toned bronzy gold kind of shade. So it was a shimmer shade, and usually shimmer shades are a bit quicker for me to pan on and finish. And this one was the same. So it still took a long time to finish. It took me 81 uses to finish that shade up. But still, again, of course, quicker than like Burnt Orange. Of course, Glistening took a little bit longer, but I think, again, that's because I franked it with a highlighter, so I used it in a different way. Otherwise, in general, shimmers are quicker for me to finish, and you can see that in Bronze because, again, it took me 81 uses to finish. So that is shade number 8 for the year, and the fourth eyeshadow finished for the quarter. So that is already great. We already doubled the amount of eyeshadows finished. So again, in the first, 9 months of the year, I only finished 4 shadows, and already in Q4, I finished those 4, but we do have a couple more coming. So the next one, I unfortunately don't actually have to show you, but it was in my rolling pretty pan. It was a magnetic single. It is the shade Turbo Mielka from Glam Shop. It was a kind of blue to pink to kind of purple iridescent shade. It was super stunning. And that one I finished up in that project. You can see it there if you want to see it empty. But I have lost that magnetic pan. It probably is somewhere either in a magnetic palette or just laying about in my drawers, but I could not find it. So unfortunately, I can't show it to you, but it is empty. And again, you can see that in my rolling pretty pan if you want to see. Again, I think I finished up in my November update potentially, if I remember correctly. So you can check it there. But that one took me 90 uses to finish up. And again, that was tracked uses. So yeah, 90 for that one. And then actually we have the very final eyeshadow that I finished in the quarter, which is also from my Soft Glam palette. I told you this one would make a massive appearance in this video. And that one actually was another shade that I mixed into a highlighter, and that was the shade Fairy right here. This one I also mixed in with, it's a shade in my Sleek Solstice palette. I've used both of these shades for the same highlighter because it's a very purpley toned highlighter, very pale, and both of these were very kind of goldeny shades, so they paired nicely. They both also were kind of a bit more satiny, so they also paired nicely as a highlighter rather than those like chunkier shades. But this one actually went way faster for me to finish than the shade Glistening. Not sure why, maybe I had less in it to start. But yeah, it went way quicker because that one I finished up in 64 uses. And that again is the last shadow finished for the quarter and also from this palette. Alright, so again, quite a few finished eyeshadows. I actually finished 6 shadows. I actually finished 6 shadows in the last quarter of the year, and I'm also very close on a couple more. So I'm hoping to have a good start for 2025. I'm hoping that I can show you, at least 2 or 3 easier shades in Q1 for 2025 when I do this video, because I am going to continue the series this year too, because I love doing them. And it's again very insightful for myself. So I'm really proud of that. Again, I was very close to a couple more, so it could have been a higher number, but that's okay because, yes, we did have that like cutoff of 2024 into 2025, but technically, like, it doesn't really matter if I finish it end of December or end of January. Like, it's not going to make a massive difference. Of course, apart from like my inventory and these videos, but if you take a step back from like the panning and the numbers, it's not going to make a huge difference. So I'm still proud that I managed to get really good progress on quite a few shades and have a head start for 2025. But let's talk through the stats again for finished eyeshadows. So for Q4, I did actually have a higher average than previous quarters. So as of Q3, I actually had an average of 64.25 uses per shadow. It was actually brought down quite a lot in Q3 because I had a shadow in there that I only took 30 uses to finish, but that was because I had massive progress on that shade already. So it brought it down quite a bit. So again, I was sitting at 64.25 uses per shadow at the end of Q3. Then the average for Q4 ended up being 87.83 uses. Again, I think it's because I had a couple that were over 100 uses. You know, I had quite a few around, well, I had 2 shades around like the 80 mark. I had one that was 81 and one was 79. And then I also had one that was 64 and one was 90. So I think it kind of all averages out around like that 80-90 usage, which checks out at 87.83 uses. And since that number was quite a lot higher than the 64.25 uses that I had in Q3, it did bring up the numbers quite a lot. And the new average for the year to finish an eyeshadow for me was 78.40 uses. So that is the average, and that is everything that I'm going to share in this video. I did have a few goals this year. Maybe I can talk you through that too. My goal was to hit pan on 50 shades, which of course I didn't do. I only got to 37. So definitely a little bit behind there. But even further behind on my eyeshadow finish, because I had a goal to finish 20 eyeshadows. It's kind of like a standing goal that I try to do every single year. And for the last 2 years, unfortunately, I haven't quite gotten there, but I'm very hopeful for 2025. I think in 2024, since I did my big fat eyeshadow project, it just kind of hindered my finished eyeshadow goal because I had to use every single like palette in my collection and make 3 exclusive looks, which meant that I could not really focus on the shadows that I wanted to finish as much as I wanted. I think I lost about, 150 makeup days doing that project. So, almost half of the year. So I think it checks out that I was behind because, again, my goal for finishing eyeshadow was 20, but I only got to 10. So it is what it is, but I'm still proud with the 10 that I finished. And since I am very close on a couple more, I think I will get a head start for 2025 and hopefully, fingers crossed, hit that 20 this year. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video here. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's both like showing some pans and some like exciting empty pans, but also a bit of stats and statistics and numbers, which is something that I love too. So it's 2 of my favorite things, and I hope you guys like it too. Again, I'm going to continue doing this series in 2025, so I will have another one of these videos up in about 3 months' time when we have finished up and wrapped up Q1. So you can look forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm continuing to post every single day in January, so I will have another video up tomorrow. Bye guys.